Hello, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. April was there. My numbers look better than they actually are. And so I'm not going to give you that many statistics this time because, well, there's still a few days left of April. I am hoping to finish, I will finish Phantom of the Opera. I am barely into it, but I will finish it in the last days of April. I read 15 books. That sounds a lot better than it actually is. 8 of them were picture books. So I had one nonfiction, it was a picture book. So I only had one middle grade. I am actually in the middle of 2 middle grades, but I don't know that I will get them done. I should be able to get them done. At least one of them. I will be able to finish one of them in April. Only one middle grade and maybe having 2 not acceptable for me. What happened was we had a few windy days, allergies kicked in, and I could not see to physically read. And most of my middle grade books are not on audio. I did pick one that was on audio. And actually, other than picture books, all of my books were on audio because I could not. So 2.5 were young adult. We'll get into that half. 4 books were adult. I had 3 books that were 5-star reads. So let's get started. I'm going to have a sip. That is yummy, but it is cooling quickly. We're going to start with picture books. I'll timestamp everything, but we're going to start with picture books. The first one I read, like very beginning of the month, The Library Fish Learns to Read. It was cute enough. It had a good message. The library fish teaches himself to read because he always sees all these kids learning to read and how much they are enjoying books. And so he wants to learn to read. It just felt flat to me, a little bit flat. Cute though, really good message, and cute pictures, which is what you're looking for in a lot of picture books. So I gave it 3.75. Just Being Audrey is a book about, it's my nonfiction. It was a biography of Audrey Hepburn. Really cute. I liked the art style. It just gives a little very, very briefest highlights of different elements of her life. I particularly love Audrey Hepburn. I thought it was really good. I just don't see the target audience. So I gave it 4 stars because I really liked the art style and I really like Audrey Hepburn. Bunny in Disguise. I got that like the day after Easter. It came in and it's cute. The artwork in it is nice and bright and vibrant. There's action and stuff. The story just didn't really make any sense to me. Like, it starts off with the Easter Bunny is in the grocery store and he's buying some carrots. But the kids usher him out of the store to get him to go hide the Easter eggs in the park so they can go find them. And so they put a disguise on the bunny, but then the bunny walks out with all this stuff and isn't he then stealing? I know, I'm looking at it from an adult point of view. I gave it a 3 because it is cute to look at. I think it was in rhyme. I'm not entirely sure. If I were rating it on how I enjoyed it, I would give it a 2. The 10 Rules of the Birthday Wish. I love this book. This is actually the 3rd time I've read it. It's one of the books that I put in my 100 books to reread, and it still holds up. I gave it 4.75. It just has 10 rules, and it explains why those are the rules. Things like if you're going to have decorations, balloons are a good one, unless, of course, you're a rhinoceros or like a porcupine or a sea urchin. So very cute. There Must Be More Than That is another book with a really good message. It starts off with an older brother telling our FMC that there's no point, the world is going to end, our future is doomed, kind of a thing. And she goes crying to Grandma, and Grandma's like, nobody knows what the future is going to be. You have options for all sorts of things. And so the little girl goes around thinking of different options, like the dad shows her a dog or a cat. She's like, well, why can't it be something else? There's much more than just a dog or a cat. So it was cute in that it just didn't sit with me very well. I do think that kids would like it. It's a really good message to be optimistic. I gave it 3.75. Bartleby is a book that I put on hold ages ago. Same with this one, actually. I put it on hold a long time ago. Bartleby goes around saying, I prefer not to. So he's in a class, and that's what it says on the back. It's super cute. He's adorable. He's in a class setting, and the teacher says, well, why don't we do some art now? And he says, I prefer not to, or let's go out and play. I prefer not to. That sort of thing. So I think that if they had said that maybe it was his first day in school, or give some sort of explanation. I don't know. It was adorable artwork. I gave it 3.75. It is still pretty cute. Buffalo Fluffalo is one of the... did I put that on my list of books to reread? I love it. I love the art style. I love the story. It's about a kind of a calf buffalo, and he's big and fluffy and he's mean and all of that. And it has a great ending. Absolutely loved that one. Book 2 is Buffalo Fluffalo and Puffalo. Had absolutely none of the charm other than the cute artwork of the first book. So the first book, I still think of it really fondly. I think it's probably a 5-star read for me for a picture book. This one, I gave it a 3. Just didn't have the heart and feeling of the first one. And then I read Why Not? A story about discovering our bright possibilities. This is a Kobi Yamada book. I had mentioned that I love Kobi Yamada books. This one did not fail. This is a 5-star read. This one I would be willing to buy. It would be a great gift for graduation. I strongly recommend a Kobi Yamada book. Now for my one and only middle grade book. I picked this one because it filled a prompt for Books and Lala's Buzzword Challenge. She said to pick a book that had the word either before or after. This is called Before the Ever After. So it had both. It just felt perfect. And it's Jacqueline Woodson, which I just absolutely adore. This is a serious book. It's in verse. It's very short. I think it's only 159 pages, something like that. It packs a punch. It really, really does. I read this right after I had read an adult book that was supposed to pack a punch, and which didn't. And I got more emotional out of this book. It's about a boy. His name is ZJ, or Little Man is what his dad calls him. His dad is an NFL player. It takes place around like early 2000s. And the father is beginning to have, so he's a pro football player, American football, and he's beginning to have anger issues, terrible headaches, and he's forgetting things. It really focuses on family bonds. It was just wonderful. I gave it 4.75, and that was my one and only middle grade book. Now for my 2.5 young adult. I did a video where I started a series, continued a series, and finished a series. So starting a series, I read The Rose Bargain. And this had the potential to be probably 4.5. I loved the storyline, the characters, everything about it, except, and I'm going to try not to go on too much about this. There were 8 to 10 little things that were just interspersed throughout the book that just didn't belong. They were out of time. They did not happen in 1848 and just really rubbed me wrong. If they had all been in the very beginning, I could have gotten over it and just really enjoyed the book, but they were sprinkled throughout the book. And so it just really affected the way I enjoyed the book. So I gave it 3.75, and I will not be continuing the series. My DNF. Thundercloud is book 2 after Scythe. The series is called Arc of the Scythe. I got 50% of the way through, and it was mostly about characters that were new to that book, sort of, but characters that I didn't care about. And I just couldn't go on. I actually kept the audiobook and the physical book for the rest of the month. I actually just returned them, just in the hopes that maybe I could be inspired to continue on. So if you read it and you loved it, it has like a 4.4 something on Goodreads. So it's a loved book. Maybe one of these days. But right now I'm not going to continue the series. And then the book that I finished was As Good as Dead, which is book 3 in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder. The funny thing is, I finished it on Easter. I sat here, I did this puzzle, which I saved for Easter because of the candy. I thought it was super cute. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was kind of a funny combination to have such a dark book and a fun, cute little puzzle. But anyway, it had its own issues, like one little blooper that most people don't know, but especially in America, which I think the book takes place, it sounds like it takes place in America. Pip and her friends go to McDonald's, and her friend only gets French fries because she's vegetarian. Only McDonald's French fries in America are not vegetarian. So So, but most people don't know that, so that's fine. This book took a turn that I didn't really like, but it was really well written. I still enjoyed it, sort of. I just didn't like the direction, and if you've read it, you know. I would give the series overall a 4, but if I were to rate this one, it's more like a 3.9. I gave it 4 because, there is no 3.9, but it is just slightly less than a 4, is in my opinion. Oh, the other book that I DNF'd, because I only DNF'd the best books, Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter. I was listening to it and reading along, and it was hard to do that because everything in it has the French pronunciation. So the guy's name, the husband's name, the deceased husband's name was Robin, but I have no clue what French pronunciation would be. I do not do well with French names. They just don't work in my brain, which does not bode well for Phantom of the Opera, which is why that one's taking me a very long time to read. I thought maybe I should just listen to it. I just wasn't enjoying it, so I think I got to 25%. It might be slightly under, but I DNF'd that one, which was a little bit of a disappointment. I think also I was really hoping to really enjoy it. I also did another cat book, The Traveling Cat Chronicles. This is a translated work. The Traveling Cat Chronicles follows Nana. Nana is the cat and is a stray cat that likes to sleep on a silver van. The silver van is owned by Satoru, who starts taking care of Nana. He names Nana, eventually takes him in, and Nana lives inside with him. But something happens 5 years later, and Satoru needs to find a new home for Nana and travels to different friends from different parts of his life. That's the traveling part of the Cat Chronicles. So we meet the friends, and then we go into the past and see how they became friends, and then it comes back to whether or not they are a good fit for taking care of the cat. And then it happens again, and then it happens again. So I didn't really enjoy that part. It wasn't bad. It's just there's a different style of writing in Japanese books. But the payoff at the end was phenomenal. So it's well worth going through that part for the ending. It was just really good. I gave it a 3.75. While I was reading The Traveling Cat Chronicles and while I was reading This Book Made Me Think of You, I was doing this puzzle of a bookshop, which was really fun. I'll show you a picture because it's well worth, if you can find it, it's a fun one because it has all our favorite books on there. It was a fun puzzle to do. I saved all the books for last. This book made me think of you. That's the one that was supposed to pack a punch, but really didn't. And I read it just before I read Before the Ever After. I liked it. I'm not going to say that I didn't like it. I gave it 4 stars. In this book, Tilly is newly widowed. It's the new year, and it's the beginning of January. And she gets a call from her local bookstore, and your husband has bought you a birthday present. I have it here, so if you could come down and pick it up, I would appreciate it. She's like, no, there's some kind of mistake. And he's like, no, I need you to come in and pick this up, and I'll explain everything when you do. So she gets to the bookstore, and he tells her that the husband arranged for her to get 12 different books, one at the beginning of each month for this entire year, to help her get through his passing. And so it is an emotional book, but it felt like the author was trying to be emotional. And so I didn't really buy into a lot of that. It was a fun book. I actually listened to it. I have the book on hold. It should be coming in a couple of weeks. I still want to see the book because it has book recommendations. So at the beginning of each month chapter, because there's multiple chapters, but every beginning month, there's a list of books that are similar to the one that she's going to receive as a gift. I kind of want to see the list. There were plenty that I had actually read, so I thought it was kind of fun. So this is definitely a book about books that show how much an impact books can have in our lives. So I do recommend it. I was expecting it to be 5 stars, and it was 4. The next one I read, I was doing this puzzle. It's a farmer's market. It was really cute. I did that while I was listening to The Other Side of Now, which really kind of surprised me. I wanted to really like it. I was worried about some of the hype that had been going around it. And I was really curious as to how it was going to be done, because what it's about is Lana Lord is a semi-famous actress. She's a lead actress in a really big popular show that's on TV. It happens to be her 30th birthday, and she's having a big old Hollywood style type party at her boyfriend's house, who happens to be the current heartthrob. So she's known. She is having a party at her house, and she has kind of a mini breakdown. She spontaneously buys a ticket to a small Irish village where she and her late friend were supposed to go to college, but never did. She just goes. She's got the ticket for the next day. Well, when she gets to that town, the little village in Ireland, she is known, but not as Lana Lord, the actress, but by her real name, Meg Bryan. And it just so happens that her best friend Amy is there. She's still alive. And I was really curious about how is that going to work? How is it going to end? I thought it was so good. I gave it 5 stars. I'm not sure how I feel about it now that it still holds up to 5, but I don't usually change my ratings. And the other thing that made me nervous about it to begin with is that it's narrated by the author, which I haven't had a lot of success with before, but she did a really good job. So yeah, 5 stars for The Other Side of Now. Kind of surprised me. I was doing this very nice springy looking puzzle, hopefully you can see it, while listening to How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates. That was kind of funny. I had said at some point that I don't do slice and dice 'em books, and yet I did. This is about Jamie. Yeah, Jamie and her friend is Lori or Laura, something like that. Best friends. They've been best friends for years. They're roommates, and they have a deal that once a month they go out to these meet and greet kind of things. And so this one is a 10-person speed dating, and they both are going, and it's in an old warehouse nightclub that they've been to before, but they haven't been there in years, just years. It starts off when Jamie is talking about her thesis, which is comparing rom-com movies to slasher movies, which I think is funny. I was a film major for a short time. I worked in the film industry for a while, so I do like watching movies, and I have seen quite a few. I've seen a lot of rom-coms, and in my younger days, I watched a lot of slasher movies. I don't really watch them anymore. So it was really fun to listen to her talk about these movies throughout the book. And I do think that you have to have a love of movies in order to like this book. So she's going on these speed dates, and she has this guy in front of her, and then the lights go out. And when the lights come back on, he has been unalived. And so she starts to implement the 10 rules of slasher films, which I agree with her rules completely, so that she can be the final girl. Because there's always a final girl who makes it out of the movies. And you have to go into this knowing that it's sort of a spoof. It's silly fun. I laughed out loud. I absolutely adored this. And it was kind of funny to be putting cute little flowery puzzle pieces together while people are being slashed and all that. But it is silly. It's not meant to be taken seriously. I think that's sort of the problem some people are having with it. I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, and I do recommend it. That was a fun time. And I loved the quotes that were they at the beginning of each chapter? I think they were at least in the beginning of most chapters. I'm not sure if they were in the beginning of all, but they were from different rom-coms. And that was everything I read and the puzzles that I did in April so far. I am determined to get through Phantom of the Opera. Have you read Phantom of the Opera? I might need encouragement to continue. So leave me a comment if you've read Phantom of the Opera. I want to watch the movie and or listen to the music, so that's why I am a movie person, as I've said, but I particularly like musicals, so I kind of really want to listen or watch Phantom of the Opera, but I need to read the book first, and I'm struggling with that right now. So give me some encouragement. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'll see you next time. Bye.